when the government puts out reports, well, it does give it an aura of kind of credibility, right? Well, that's exactly how the latest national climate assessment was treated. When newsrooms, they flew into a frenzy about the looming apocalypse. Watch.
This is criminal, really, when you get down to it. It is tragic that we have a president who, at this critical moment, chooses not to be a firefighter, but to be an arsonist.
We got kids. We don't want to be, slowly burned to death on our own planet here.
The climate change could kill thousands of Americans and cost the U.S. economy hundreds of billions of dollars. We're just suggesting, Mr. President, if you don't want to believe science, maybe just start with climatekids.nasa.gov. It's a pretty easy read. It's fun. There are pictures.
Oh, that's right, Anderson. You're smarter than everyone else. Anyone scared yet? Well, what if we were to tell you that same government policy paper was funded with the help of progressive climate alarmists like billionaires Tom Steyer and Mike Bloomberg? Well, here now, the man who uncovered the funding, Chuck DeVore of the Texas Public Policy Center. Chuck, tell us a bit about how you were able to find out who funded this and what their climate agenda may be.
Well, that's a great question. First of all, I owe a lot to Nick Loris over at the Heritage Foundation because he did a quick critique that on exactly the point that you showed, the huge hit to the economy and thousands of people dying. That's what the media focused on. Well, that was taken from one study funded, unfortunately, by federal government tax dollars, but also Michael Bloomberg and Tom Steyer. And so he mentioned that, and then I dug into it some more. And what I found out, Laura, was one of the main authors of the report, Professor Rising from Berkeley. This guy's a veritable basket case. On his blog, he talks about, quote, eliminating the president. On his blog, he talked about how he's concerned about the rise of religious extremism in the United States and in the Middle East. I guess equating guys like me with Al-Qaeda and ISIS, which is, I don't know, a little kooky if you ask me. He's one of the main authors of the report. And the reason why they're doing this, of course, is that they need to whip people up into fear so that we can hand over our sovereignty, hand over our autonomy to these people who are better than us and smarter than us.
Smarter. I mean, go back to my angle. I did an angle last night on how the left loves to portray itself as the smart set. They know better than the little people. You may like to, fill your truck up with diesel, but guess what? It's all gonna be better under the new way of doing commerce and fueling vehicles. And you just got to listen to us. We'll give the tax incentives to the electric cars and so forth. And you see what's happening in France. People are just rejecting this, and a lot going on in France beyond that. But that's part of this. It costs real money, and people don't want to open up their wallets.
And it hits the middle class the most. The thing that's amazing about France is gas there is about $7.06 a gallon. And almost half of that is taxes, so a lot more than here in America. But what they were rioting over, Laura, was just a 25-cent a gallon increase in the gas tax and about 10 cents a gallon in diesel. Now, the UN climate expert, who wants to, of course, transfer a lot of our wealth to corrupt third world countries, he estimates that in 12 years, we're going to need a carbon tax that's the equivalent of about $49 a gallon for fuel.
That would be fun.
You think there's riots in France now over 25 cents. Imagine what happens with $49 a gallon.
By the way, there's another brainiac whose words we must share with our viewers, Chuck. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Let's watch.
I wish that I could be the Terminator in real life, to be able to travel back in time and to stop all fossil fuels when they were discovered.
First of all, send me a memo when he's going to drop the Terminator references. I mean, more like Kindergarten Cop. It's the Climate Cop. He should do a whole new sequel to that, Chuck.
Well, just think about what he said. If he could travel back in time and stop all fossil fuels, it's like, are you kidding me? So stop the Industrial Revolution in its tracks around 1700? We'd be living in abject poverty and misery right now if that were to happen, which I guess is kind of like the Terminator movies, right? Wasn't that some sort of a post-apocalyptic dystopia?
Yes. And Chuck, how would he get on that G4 to the next film festival? That's what I want to say.
Exactly.
Chuck, thanks so much. Now, this leads us to our next question. Now, some of the most influential leaders of the Democratic Party have lied to you about science for decades. So why are we still listening to them? Here to debate this is radio host, former Chuck Schumer aide, Chris Hahn. All right, Chris, I know you just got off your Global Express jet. But the Federalist David Harsanyi wrote a great piece today documenting the less than stellar track record of some of the climate alarmists. And I want to start with this one. Back in 1970, Harvard biologist George Wald estimated that, quote, civilization will end within 15 or 30 years unless immediate action was taken. So what happened? He was the soothsayer of the time.
Yeah, look, major events don't happen on a schedule, right? Climate change is real. It is happening. We've seen evidence of it
happened.
Just this year between the major storms, the California wildfires. It is a problem that we should be addressing. 97% of scientists who study this agree that this is a problem that is man-made, caused by our using of fossil fuels, especially coal. And it is time for us to wake up and all speak with one voice. This should not be a political debate whether or not it's real or not. It should be a debate about how we solve the problem. Instead, we still have a president of the United States who says this isn't even a real problem.
Well, do you have a problem,
Lord,
though,
this
Chris?
is a real problem.
Chris, do you have a problem,
it needs a real solution.
I think we have a lot of problems that are resulting in cataclysmic issues happening to our environment. I'm a conservationist, so I want to conserve the beauty that we have, and we have to have business. So that's where I come down. I'm not a scientist. I don't pretend to be one on TV. But it is interesting, again, going back to judging, in retrospect, we can see who is a pretty good prognosticator and who wasn't such a good prognosticator. So let's try this one. This is back in 1977. This is Barack Obama's future science czar, John Holdren, predicting that global warming could lead to the deaths of about 1 billion starving people by 2020. Now, we have about 13 months left. So what happened? All right, there's another recent prediction, by the way, that I have to get to. Al Gore, he proclaimed in 2006's that Inconvenient Truth film that sea levels would rise 20 feet, quote, in the near future. Was that just when he stepped into the Atlantic? Sorry. But according to government scientists, sea levels only rose about 3 inches between 93 and 2017. Up next, I'm telling you, we lost Chris in the satellite. It's live TV. That's what happens. Chris, we didn't do it on purpose. It was the climate. Lawsuit madness. A new federal complaint accusing the state of Rhode Island for failing to provide students with the skills they need. I'm going to talk to the lead lawyer in the case next.